A male fan crazily sniffed the goddess's clothes. If it weren't for her ex-boyfriend nearby, he might have even taken her underwear home.
매일매일 사랑을 할 거야.
The powerful tycoon Lin is surprisingly helpless against the stalker. He once wielded immense power, commanding respect in both political and business circles. But now, he is at the mercy of this young man. All because he wants to marry his young girlfriend. Old Lin worked hard for most of his life to build a huge family business. In his twilight years, he also wanted a bit of romance. However, his young girlfriend, Yuna, was never accepted by his daughter, Mei-ying. Especially when Yuna took out the old photo album, Mi-young's anger was written all over her face. It was a journal her mother had meticulously prepared since she was pregnant. But why did her sister... Mei-ying cried silently, knowing she couldn't change her father's decision. A year later, Lin was about to marry Yuna. As Mei-ying's soon-to-be stepmother, Yuna brought Lin a lot of pride in various situations. As a former singer, she had a unique charm that Lin found irresistible. Sports cars, yachts, flowers, and luxury watches, everything needed for romance is here. Old Lin was clearly very satisfied with his young girlfriend. After all, she had made her way in the entertainment industry, possessing both charm and looks. However, with a stepmother comes a stepfather, and Mei-ying became a neglected young lady. She spent her days hanging out with her disreputable friends in nightclubs. One day, a friend showed her something on their phone. The video shows Yuna and a young man in a compromising situation. With such explosive material in hand, Mei-ying decides to meet Yuna immediately. But Yuna didn't know what was happening. She thought it was Mi-young's birthday, and even planned to buy her a gift. Yuna sincerely wanted to get along with Mi-young. After all, she came to join not to disrupt this family. She told Lao Lin she would be back soon, but neither of them expected that this would be a final farewell. That night, Yuna found Mi-young in a private room at the nightclub. However, not long after, the nightclub surveillance footage showed the two of them tussling in the underground parking lot. Later, street surveillance captured a white car recklessly speeding, with the driver suspected of drunk driving. The night was far from over when the news reported that the famous singer Yuna was found unconscious in the parking lot. The police had already transferred her to the hospital for emergency treatment, but Yuna ultimately did not survive. The police sealed off the parking lot, where only a pool of blood and a lost shoe were found. The entire surveillance room had been burned down, leaving no useful evidence behind. The investigation seems to be at a standstill. The primary suspect, Mei-ying, has been temporarily detained by the police. Lao Lin meets his daughter in a private room, feeling quite confused. He is torn between both sides, unable to favor either. However, Mei-ying acts as if nothing has happened. No matter how Lao Lin questions her about what happened with Yuna, Mei-ying remains silent. Lao Lin said that if Mei-ying told the truth, he would help her get out. But if she lied, no one could help her. After thinking for a moment, Mei-ying finally spoke, angrily accusing her father of being fickle and abandoning her for a singer from the entertainment industry. Lao Lin, feeling helpless, could only hope the lawyer could help. The company's legal team advised Mr. Lin to gather strong evidence to help Mei-ying with the lawsuit. The search of Mei-ying's residence revealed no illegal drugs. One can use drunkenness as a defense. Without solid evidence, the prosecution can't do much to Mei-ying. But there's one flaw. Mei-ying's computer has a game she likely created, which mimics the entire process of killing Yuna. The brutality of his methods even made the seasoned Lin light a cigarette to calm his nerves. The prosecution is likely to use this as evidence to accuse Mei-ying of intentional murder. However, old Lin ordered all the evidence to be made public. He wanted to create a big news story to muddy the waters. As long as it attracted attention and heated up the topic, there might still be room for maneuver. By the way, inform the legal team that they must consult a lawyer named Choi before filing a lawsuit. Are you still in good health? I miss you so much. I really don't remember anything. The two seemed to be very close, with Choi Real even bringing Mi-young her favorite snacks. However, once this matter was exposed, it quickly became a hot topic on major media platforms, just as Old Lin had predicted. But Old Lin always had a question.
미라는 지금 그 말을 믿습니까?
Lawyer Choi firmly believes in Mei-ying's innocence. Old Lin hesitates, but then decisively appoints Lawyer Choi as the legal representative. The daughter of a wealthy tycoon is suspected of murder, and Mr. Lin is instantly surrounded by a barrage of cameras. However, he firmly declares in front of the cameras that his daughter is definitely not a murderer. Meanwhile, the police have already simulated Yuna's death video. She was found of pelvic and rib injuries. After being hit by the car, she also suffered a skull fracture. The direct cause of death was her head hitting the fire extinguisher rack. Amidst the heated discussions of countless netizens, the case of Mei-ying finally begins. The prosecutor requests to interrogate Maying, but attorney Choi immediately objects, arguing that this could lead to coercion of the defendant and result in biased outcomes. Attorney Choi opposes all requests unfavorable to Maying. However, the judge believes that the top priority is to uncover the truth, and regardless of whether it is favorable or unfavorable, the interrogation must proceed. When asked about the relationship between Maying and the victim, Yuna, I object. It's the prosecution's speculation, exploiting the defendant's emotions. The judge overruled the objection, allowing the prosecutor to continue questioning. The prosecutor delved deeper, asking Mi-young again if she disliked Yuna and even considered hitting her with a car. Mi-young admitted to disliking her, but denied any murderous intent. After 2 preliminary questions, the prosecutor finally got to the point and asked if Maying had seen Yuna on the night of the incident. Maying, crying, replied that they had planned to meet, but she drank too much and fell asleep. She couldn't remember what happened afterward. It seems that she conveniently forgets anything unfavorable to Mi-young. Next, it's attorney Choi's turn. He starts by asking how much Mi-young drank that day and why she drove after drinking. Mi-young responds that she was just hanging out with friends. After getting drunk, she forgot to call a designated driver and can't remember what happened next. This line of questioning will lead to a favorable outcome for Maying. It can be concluded that Maying lost consciousness due to intoxication. At most, she could be charged with drunk driving, but it can't be proven that she committed murder intentionally. The police have made a new discovery. Call records show. That day, Mi-young first sent Yuna a text message to arrange a meeting, then made several phone calls. Finally, Yuna had an incident in the parking lot. So the police deduced that if Mi-young was indeed the killer, she likely lured Yuna to the parking lot on purpose and then found an opportunity to kill her. Moreover, those inappropriate videos are likely the root of the conflict. Meanwhile, the prosecutor summoned Maying's friends.
임미라와 피해자 박윤아의 화장실에서 다툼을
Yes, a friend claimed to be a fan of Yuna and looked at her upon hearing her voice. He vaguely saw that Mi-young showed some video. Yuna explained that it happened before she met Lao Lin. However, how did you feel when you filmed this? Were you extremely happy? Facing Mi-young's wanton insults, Yuna suppressed her anger and warned her to stop. To further discredit him, the prosecutor played the explicit video in court. Old Lin was immediately embarrassed and uncomfortable. After the first session ended, he privately approached the prosecutor, begging for leniency. Due to the explicit video, rumors about Yuna were rampant online. Now that she has passed away, he wanted to preserve her dignity.
자랑이 더 중요하다 뭐 이런 얘기 하시는
The prosecutor was straightforward, saying that since taking over the case, 16 high-ranking officials had called within a week, all inviting him out for a meal, but he had declined them all. Old Lin reminded the prosecutor that in life, one inevitably encounters difficult situations and advised not to be too rigid.
부장검사 찍고 더 높은 데로 올라가려면 절대.
Old Lin knew that this prosecutor had no strong background, so he immediately promised to help him pave a smooth career path, even offering to buy him the position of chief prosecutor. However, these blunt and straightforward words made the prosecutor feel insulted, and he left in anger. On the other side, for Maying's case, lawyer Choi is exhausted. Given the current situation, the lawsuit is difficult to win. Meanwhile, the roommate suddenly discovers that someone on the forum claims to be a fan of Yuna. This person works as a cable TV repairman and likes to install surveillance cameras everywhere. Last summer, he was caught and taken to the police station for illegally installing surveillance cameras at Yuna's company. So, lawyer Choi followed the clues and found the small shop. She waited from day to night, but Dog Hwan never showed up. She didn't notice that a man had been following her all along.
하루 종일 기다렸는데 안 온다.
Just as lawyer Choi left, a man drove straight into the store, violently unlocked it, and stole all the storage hard drives. As soon as he packed up, the police quickly arrived and arrested him. Sensing something was wrong, lawyer Choi returned and found the backpack full of hard drives on the ground. At the police station, the man claimed he had put the car in reverse gear and that the car malfunctioned, causing it to crash into the store. It was clearly a lie, but the police couldn't do anything about it. When the owner, Dog Hwan, returned and saw the mess in the shop, he cursed loudly. But then he noticed Mr. Lin waiting inside.
아니 회장님
Lao Lin came here to get the surveillance footage from the crime scene, but those massive videos had already been taken home by lawyer Choi. Of course, Go Hwan couldn't provide them. Old Lin thought Go Hwan was trying to take advantage of the situation. As a die-hard fan of Yuna, Go Hwan had an almost obsessive affection for her. He told Old Lin that he had indeed watched the video of the incident. We also know what Yuna said to Mi-young at that time. With a pleading look from Lao Lin, Go Hwan smugly told him that Mi-young was furiously cursing. Yuna finally couldn't bear it anymore and said she was just playing along with Lao Lin for his money. Hearing what Go Hwan said, Lao Lin felt suspicious. A man who has admired Yuna for years might be deliberately saying these things to deceive. But then again, considering his own age, he indeed feels like an old man chasing a young woman. So it's also possible that Yuna said those things. But no matter what, he truly loves Yuna. Now, with his daughter suspected of murder, he must find out what really happened that day to bring peace to Yuna's soul. To get the crime scene footage, Lin decides to make a deal with Go Hwan.
있어 차로.
She brought Go Hwan to her home to show off her luxurious life with Yuna. Unexpectedly, Go Hwan dared to lie on the bed, shamelessly enjoying the lingering scent of the goddess. Old Lin couldn't bear to watch, but the worst was yet to come.
만났을 때 유나가 여기 가운데 그 부엉이가 그래.
This kind of fan is simply perverted. Especially when he saw Yuna's underwear, his eyes lit up. Lao Lin almost wanted to kill him on the spot. After getting what he wanted, Go Hwan started asking for a second thing, Yuna's unreleased new song. And it had to be for his ears only, not to be shared with anyone.
녹음실 서버에서.
But suddenly, Go Hwan turned hostile, accusing Lao Lin of harboring ill intentions. He warned that if he handed over the surveillance footage, it might lead to his own death. In the end, he left nothing for Lao Lin and took Yuna's clothes with him. In the subsequent court session, experts confirmed that Yuna's cause of death was a skull fracture and bleeding due to the collision. The discussions revolved around the same topics, and there was no substantial progress this time. Exhausted, Mr. Lin asked someone to hand a note to Lawyer Choi before leaving, explaining that he had to go on a business trip to Thailand and requesting her to take care of matters here. After Lao Lin left, nothing happened for a few days. Meanwhile, Lawyer Choi and the prosecutor met at a small tavern. Actually, the two have a personal relationship, but the prosecutor is not one to mix personal matters with work.
이번에 원칙대로 할 거다.
Have you ever not followed the principles? So, the prosecutor doesn't plan to make an exception this time either. He also advised Lawyer Choi to stay out of trouble. No one can really tell what kind of person old Lin is. These tycoons are more cunning than you can imagine. Recalling his own near-bribery experience, the prosecutor warned Lawyer Choi to be extremely cautious if he insists on defending Mi-young. After the prosecutor left, Lawyer Choi got drunk at the bar. By the time Mr. Lin found her, she had already drunk more than a dozen bottles. Meanwhile, the prosecutor was busy as he received an important message.
혹시 지하 주차장 CCTV 영상을 갖고 있다고 선배님.
After finally sobering up and returning home, the roommate brought good news. She had found the most crucial video among many. It showed a conflict between Yona and Lin's driver. So, after the court reconvened, Lawyer Choi immediately questioned the driver. When Yuna was found in the parking lot, what was her condition? The driver explained that he had just taken the luggage upstairs. When he returned to the parking lot 10 minutes later, Yuna was already lying in a pool of blood. There was also a burnt smell at the scene. Attorney Choi believes the driver is lying and gets straight to the point. Have you recently visited a luxury watch store? The reason for this question is that on the night of the drinking, Mr. Lin told her that the luxury watch manufacturer had informed him that the watch meant for Yuna was taken to a shop by a man. With irrefutable evidence, the driver finally admits he tried to sell the watch. However, the watch is managed by its serial number, so it wasn't sold successfully at that time. Seeing that his strategy was working, Lawyer Choi pressed on and intensely questioned the driver about his actions that day, eventually driving the driver to a breakdown in court. The driver lost control of his emotions in court, which seems to indicate a guilty conscience. Next, it's the prosecutor's turn to ask questions, stating that records show on the day of the incident, the driver's fingerprints were found in the underground parking lot's monitoring room. Although that doesn't directly prove the driver is the murderer. But now, the key witness who can prove he is the murderer will testify in court. However, Gukwan did not show up as promised. The prosecutor secured a 20-minute recess, hoping to find Gukwan during this time. With the judge's approval, Mr. Lin became anxious. So, Kwan absolutely cannot testify in court. Otherwise, all of Lin's plans will fail. He must keep his daughter, Mi-young, out of this matter. He just found out that Kwan is already downstairs. Lao Lin ran out frantically and questioned Go Hwan about what he really wanted. If it's money, no problem. He has plenty. If it's Na's clothes, he can give them all, take everything. Pushing aside the parking lot guard, Lin warns Go Hwan not to act tough. If Go Hwan agrees not to testify, Lin promises him a sum of money he could never earn in his lifetime. Just as old Lin was pestering Go Hwan for the USB drive, Lawyer Choi, finally sensing something was wrong, rushed over to stop him. Go Hwan took the opportunity to throw out the backup USB drive, shouting that it contained the real data. Go Hwan was taken away by the bodyguards. Despite Lawyer Choi's strong resistance, the USB drive was still snatched by old Lin. Old Lin warns lawyer Chui not to overthink. Since he hired her, she must obey. Don't think about things you shouldn't and cooperate well in court. But no matter what, lawyer Choi has professional ethics. The truth is right there. Can he lie against his conscience? So, he secretly told the prosecutor about the USB drive being stolen. Old Lin just sat there watching, without any intention of stopping them. Even when they whispered to the judge, Old Lin remained unmoved. Moments later, the judge called Old Lin as a witness to testify. Old Lin, who has told countless lies in his life, is now swearing in front of everyone that his upcoming testimony will be truthful. If there are any falsehoods, he is willing to accept any punishment. Please be seated. Prosecution, you may begin questioning. Instead of asking questions, the prosecutor addressed everyone in the courtroom. The USB drive containing the truth is in Lao Lin's suit pocket. It was taken by force, and now he is suspected of assault and theft. He might not hand over the USB drive. But once the search warrant arrives, it's no longer a matter of whether he wants to hand it over. Old Lin clearly starts to feel uneasy. Moments later, the search warrant is delivered to the court. Old Lin hesitates for a moment, then raises his hands and stands up, allowing the USB drive to be found.
사건을 종결할 이 USB에
The video was played in court, clearly showing everything that happened that day. It indeed shows a white car hitting someone in the parking lot. However, the person who got out of the car was surprisingly Old Lin. He violently attacked Yuna until she died. Witnessing the scene, Mei fainted on the spot. The truth was finally revealed. After all the twists and turns, it was actually Old Lin who killed the young girl. The prosecutor classified the case. The entire incident was triggered by that indecent video. Lao Lin felt humiliated after learning about his girlfriend's past and, in a fit of rage, chose to kill Yuna. Of course, Mr. Lin had something to say. He runs a large company with over 2,000 employees and believes he contributes to society. Yes, someone did die, but he thinks it pales in comparison to his own value. Mr. Lin always believes that not all lives are equal in this world. The capitalist's statement enraged the prosecutor, who immediately announced an emergency arrest. Unexpectedly, upon hearing this, Mr. Lin showed a barely noticeable hint of joy, then calmly faced arrest. All procedures were completed. The real culprit has been punished. But no one expected that the biggest truth had long been hidden. After Lao Lin was arrested, the prosecutor went to see lawyer Chui. She has now opened a new law firm and her career is on the rise. The prosecutor had high hopes for this justice-driven junior. However, what happened next was beyond everyone's expectations. Old Lin asked the company's legal team to invite lawyer Choi. They met again in prison, and lawyer Choi blamed Old Lin for deceiving him in the past. If Dog Hwan hadn't shown up at the last moment, the innocent driver would have taken the blame. However, Lao Lin said he could apologize. But one must be realistic. Lawyer Choi has just opened a new firm and needs money for various expenses. Mr. Lin hopes lawyer Choi can be his attorney, providing high-quality legal assistance, and he is willing to pay generously.
가지고 돈 드는 일도 아니니.
You must keep everything you know absolutely confidential. Even if it's just once, please tell me the truth. Why did you hire me to be Mei Ying's lawyer? After signing the contract, lawyer Choi is about to uncover the truth. At this moment, Mi Young has already lost her father's protection. The driver tells her that she will have to learn to live on her own from now on. But Mi Young still wanted to know the truth, so the driver handed her Mi Young took the phone to find lawyer Choi. In this phone with no call logs or files, there's only a map of Bangkok, Thailand. Lawyer Choi suddenly remembers. Before one court session, Mr. Lin mentioned he had a business trip to Thailand. So, she immediately took Mei to Thailand. Following the given address, they found a warehouse. The key to unlocking the lock is hidden in the phone. The warehouse is eerily quiet, but as you walk in, you feel a chill down your spine. Seeing the place turned into a parking lot, Mei broke down in tears. She finally understood everything. It was Lao Lin who rented a warehouse in Thailand, faked the parking lot video, and created false evidence to save Mei. At this moment, Mei just wants to go to the prison to apologize to her father. But it seems too late. Mr. Lin doesn't need thanks or apologies. He just hopes his daughter can live well. The real culprit isn't Dad.
놈이 이제 술을 하네.
At this moment, the US and UK finally realized their mistake. Yuna was the one who killed, but it was Old Lin who took responsibility for her. He spent a huge amount of resources in Thailand to fabricate evidence. Even Old Lin got involved, all to help her evade punishment. But Mr. Lin didn't want to continue. His daughter should have a new life, free from these emotions. Ignoring his daughter's cries, he chose to end the visit. Later, Old Lin was brought to court. Under the spotlight, he appeared very calm. The trial was about to begin, but Old Lin had no regrets. Actually, he had already seen the original video at Diakwan's place. In the underground parking lot, Yuna and Mi Young had an argument, and Mi Young drove straight into Yuna. Old Lin covered his face and cried, pleading with Go Hwan to help him. No matter what, I can't let anything happen to my daughter. Old Lin is willing to pay any price to create a fake video. So later, they suddenly said they were going to Thailand. They did everything they could to create a parking lot and searched carefully in Thai nightclubs. Find dancers who closely resemble Yuna and Mi Young to help fake the video. But that's not enough. Old Lin knew that if he left evidence easily, he would definitely be suspected. To avoid suspicion, Old Lin instructed Go Hwan to personally call the prosecutor and say he had important evidence. Later, they cooperated to put on an act outside the courtroom. Even lawyer Chui was successfully deceived. By the end, Lin was desperate. He had owed his daughter for most of his life, and now his young girlfriend was gone too. If something happened to his daughter, he wouldn't be able to face his late wife. But when he saw the dancer who looked very similar to Yuna, he couldn't hide his excitement. The film Silence is a remake of the Chinese movie Silent Witness. However, both the acting and the narrative fall short. In the original, the boss, lawyer, and prosecutor are equally matched, making it quite thrilling. But in the Korean version, Choi Min-sik's intense performance can't carry his co-stars. Especially with his superb acting, the roles of the lawyer and prosecutor become mere foils. The plot still uses the typical techniques of Korean directors, dedicating a lot of time to character introductions. However, using this method in a tension-filled storyline works well. This inevitably affects the courtroom drama, which was supposed to be the highlight. Besides Choi Min-sik, the performances and dialogues of the other actors are unconvincing. Unsurprisingly, it falls into the pit of remakes are always poorly received.